Well, Mohamad Elmasry joins me now on set. He is a professor at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies and specialises in Egyptian politics. Thank you very much for coming into the studio. We heard there world leaders praising Mubarak, but on the other hand, we see people from within Egypt calling him an autocratic ruler who curbed even basic freedoms. How do these two things work together?
Well, there's no question that he was an autocratic ruler. There's no real debate in the political science literature. He presided over Egypt for 30 years. He ran these sort of sham elections and referenda. He eliminated pretty much all avenues for dissent. He stifled media. And obviously, the police apparatus employed enhanced torture techniques. There were many thousands of political prisoners. So there's really no question that he was an autocratic ruler. I think, what you're seeing in Egypt is this sort of mixed emotion because, number one, we have to be honest with ourselves. There were still people in Egypt who supported Mubarak. Not everybody in Egypt was on board with the 2011 uprising. That's number one. Number two, the current ruler, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is actually even more authoritarian than Mubarak ever was. So you do have some Egyptians who are sort of longing for the days of Mubarak, even though they weren't fans of his.
How then did he maintain this international legitimacy for as long as he did? As we've seen, many world leaders were impressed with him on the international stage.
Well, leaders in the United States and elsewhere in the Western world are happy to do business with dictators. That's just the reality, as long as they're serving their interests in the region. And leaders in the U.S. and elsewhere felt like Mubarak could bring about the kind of stability in Egypt and the region that they wanted for their own political agendas. But even if you look today, I mean, Sisi has a favorable relationship with many Western leaders. So that isn't something that we should see as particularly surprising. One thing that I will say about Mubarak, I mean, he was an autocratic ruler, but he was much more of a diplomat and a statesman than, say, Sisi is. He was more polished in terms of just representing Egypt abroad.
How did the fall of Mubarak impact uprisings in the rest of the region at the time?
Well, there's no question that the uprising in Tunisia and also the uprising in Egypt, those two revolutions served as catalysts for protest movements elsewhere in the region, in Libya and Syria, Yemen and elsewhere. What's, I think, interesting and also tragic in many ways is that these revolutions then spurred these current and ongoing counter-revolutions, which have seen the power apparatuses take power back from the people in places like Egypt.
Amnesty International says that 840 people were killed during the 18 days of protest that led to him standing down. Can there ever now be justice for those people?
That's a really hard question to answer. There were 840 people killed. The numbers are probably actually higher than that. Those are the confirmed cases. There were also thousands of people killed by Abdel Fattah al-Sisi when he took over in 2013 and 2014, and we haven't seen justice. Mubarak went free. Sisi continues to preside over Egypt. I guess the answer to your question is that time will tell. Some people think that another uprising is a matter of when, not if. And if there is another uprising, then we may see some semblance of justice. But who knows when that might be.
We'll have to leave it there. Really good to have your analysis. Thank you for that. That's Mohamad Elmasry, a professor at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies, specialising in Egyptian politics.